Hey everyone, it's Paul Xavier here, and today I have Johnny Eaker on from Cosmic Sauce, his production company, and he has an awesome story to share with us. He went from running a traditional video production company, and it had no recurring revenue. He wasn't certain what to do next. He'd been competing for a really big job, and unfortunately, they didn't get it at the beginning of this year. Then he was searching, what is he going to do for his business? How is he going to take it to that next level? Is he even going to survive the next year? And he joined the Next Level Creators program. Within a few months, he landed a six-figure a year client. That's, now he's making over $10,000 a month in consistent recurring revenue. And he attributes that success to learning where to focus in his production company. So Johnny, welcome. I'm excited to chat today. And why don't you start out by telling us what was a day in the life of your video production company like before you joined the program? What was it normally like for you? A month, a day? What were you doing?
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for coming, Paul. And yeah, I mean, incredibly inconsistent, and that we're very much reliant on referrals and not knowing. I mean, our cash every month. I mean, we would have, geez, and I can remember February. I think we had a $4,000 a month. Like that's bad. Like that's like I'm trying. So from there, it just that roller coaster of cash flow, not knowing what was going to happen. And in general, the single, we typically close single video projects in the $10,000 to $15,000 range, and even then, you try to get half up front, and then you're not paid the rest until it's done. And some of these have really long tails, that 2 to 3 months before a project gets done. And so we went into 2018 really hoping that we would have a very large contract, and it just didn't happen. A very large single video job, and it just didn't happen. And so from that, I came on. I found Creators Operating System, and you at the early part of the year, I think right at January. So it was just a perfect time. Like, what are we? Really, I didn't know what we were going to do, because I figured we had about 6 months maybe, as far as we needed to make a major change in what we were doing. Or I have a business partner, so we're supporting 2 professional salaries in this business, and we just, I'm not gonna lie, I was literally looking for a job. I had this, I'm going to try to go find video business, but I'm also searching Career Builder for like a job. And that's, again, when it comes to focus, that's not exactly where you want to be. And so I really wasn't really sure what I was going to do. And even as I started to go through the program, for me, probably the live event was the bigger shift.
So
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm curious here because for you were at this point where you had to make a decision, right? You didn't know, you only had a couple months left worth of cash. But how long was your business at that point where you were just doing these $10,000, $15,000 production jobs? And how long have you run this production company?
Yeah, we have. I mean, I've been around production for 15 years and working in an in-house agency for a large company, and then I started this video marketing agency. This is our 3rd year. So for 2 full years, it'd been more of the same, but I had a full-time income. So I was trying to transition myself into that business. Then in the late part of 17, I lost that job. The in-house cushy job that I'd had forever, I lost it. And so the blessing was that we had this thing in motion. We had a client list. We had some people that were coming back to us on a consistent basis. But the business wasn't at a point to really where it could support 2 professional salaries, and it needed to. And so there was this crisis, and it was like, oh, well, great. Here comes this big client. This will kind of save it. And it didn't happen. And so that's when it was like, okay. So to answer your question, this single project model is really all I'd ever known. That I'd always been running a freelance business outside of my full-time creative job. And this is, hey, we go make an extra $5,000 a month. Then, last 2 years, it's like, okay, we were proud of ourselves that we could graduate from, a $5,000 job to like, we closed an $18,000 video job, or we closed the hospital we're going to do 3 videos for $25,000. And we would get super excited about that.
Yeah.
And that is something to be excited about. But here, fast forward to where just believing in yourself and having confidence that there's a lot more out there. And there are folks that really want to work with you. You just have to find them,
Yeah.
and instead of settling, I just feel like I was settling for what I could find and just not seeing the possibility of, like, again, you want your business to be a certain size, and you start to build that. If you just open the doors to possibility at outside of your small market area, we're in a college town, middle of Missouri, Midwest, and that's really an opportunity. I think that if we're able to go out, because we got low overhead, we're pretty cost effective, that we can compete in some other areas that we just weren't thinking that way.
Yeah.
And now it's this is how we're going to do business, because it just makes sense.
And I think I see that mindset is so common because it happens to me all the time. I think it happens to everyone, is you get comfortable. And that's really what happened, right? You got comfortable when you were working your day job with these $5,000 projects. And you're like, I can do this. This is then you lose that job, and all of a sudden discomfort settles in. So what do? I have to make more. So the $5,000 job doesn't really work, and you start looking for these 10, 15,000, but you're uncomfortable when are people going to pay that? I don't know. Then you start getting them, and that becomes comfortable. And it's getting you by, it's working. And then the next thing is like, well, what's after this? Because this still isn't that great. And this still gives you those cycles of up, down, all the time with the business. So that's when you had to let go again. And it's interesting to hear how every time you wanted to get to that next level, you had to go through that period of, I need to get uncomfortable again. I need to get out of this mindset of this is what I'm worth, and start raising the bar there.
Yeah.
So with that being said, what was the main, how did you find Next Level Creators? How did you find us? And what was it about what we do that really attracted you?
I found Facebook advertising. And so from there, and it was just, the message was very, very relevant in that, because I've known myself, like I said, we try to position ourselves as a video marketing agency. The reality is, until this year, we were just another production company. But the vision had always been like, let's help people actually make sure content gets seen. Like, that was the gap for me, is that we would do these beautiful things, and no one was seeing what we were doing, and some clients didn't care, some clients didn't know, and I'm like, okay, if we could help with this, but we really didn't know how. Like me or my business partner, like the ins and outs of what Facebook advertising could and should look like. And so basically you guys came along and really packaged up, like, I was like, yes, this is what I've been wanting to do. And so this is the start to finish of how to get there. And so it was just this perfect alignment of like vision helping me get to, okay, let me at least become very proficient in helping people get where they want to go when it comes to promotion and distribution of content. And then the whole retained dollar model, I was like, monthly retained income, it totally makes sense. When you talk about just the way the production industry is shifting, and you don't, and I think as video creators, I think you're kind of kidding yourself if you keep hanging your hat on quality, because it's getting easier and easier to make high quality content. Like, this is coming from somebody that's created high quality content for a long time. And it really resonated with me. I'm like, yeah, like the clock's kind of ticking to be able to keep charging a premium for just content. You've got to be able to do more. And I felt like the program you guys put together helps us show our clients how to get where they want to go. 'Cause that's ultimately what they want. They don't really care how beautiful this thing is. They're like, is it going to make them money? Is it going to do
Yeah.
what they're trying to do? And so, yeah.
That's the key right there, right? It's no longer do we charge a premium based off of production and the quality of the production. We charge based off of value, right? So how did that change the way you were having conversations with these prospective clients? Because I remember you came to, like, you joined the program back end of January timeframe. You still had a bunch of jobs. You were trying to get through it, but you were so busy at the time. And then you came to our live event. And that's really where you sat down 3 days, full focus. What has changed since then? What about your business model, your mindset, the things that you're doing? What are the major differences between you in January, before you joined, and you now?
It's definitely focus and mindset. I mean, there's still things that really the live event for me helped lay out, I think, and maybe it's just the way that I learned, in that I was just able to absorb a lot more there. I mean, we went through elements of the program that's available online, but being able to do it in person was very beneficial for me. Get instant feedback and just clarity. I mean, I know, still, I mean, focusing on a niche, that's still, we're still, I mean, the opportunity that's been put in front of us that we closed, I think, is helping guide us towards it makes sense. Like, it's really helped us, understand that. But clarity and just focus and mindset, like, those are the big things. There's still things that trying to get things organized when it comes to personal and business and health. And but what I liked about the live event is it really helped me prioritize. I know what I need to do. It's a matter of, it comes back to time management. Like, that's the area that I probably still need to do some self-development, and just to create time for the things that I know I need to do. But when it comes to the business, it's definitely, there's so much clarity there that I know that, as I said before, we're just going to say no to. I mean, just the other day, like, nonprofit thing, that $4,000 job, love the nonprofit's mission, but I'm like, I'm sorry, we can't.
Yeah.
And just because the time that I would have put into that $4,000 job is much better spent doing research, prospecting, having sales calls, and closing the next six-figure deal. Like,
Yes.
Even if it takes me 2 months to even get to where I can have that six-figure conversation, that is way better spent than saying yes to these other jobs that just take me away from what I really should be focusing on. Whereas early in the year, I'd have said yes to anything that came across my desk.
Yeah.
And granted, I had to, but at the same time, it's this catch-22 of, like, if you can't get to the next level if you're always doing the same thing that you've been doing.
Yeah.
And so
You're on the hamster wheel, right?
really, that was the big thing for me, man, was just, let's, and then just going through and just understanding sales. I think, so many of us as creatives, I mean, this has been my biggest part, being self-employed truly for a year, is just, most of us we haven't been in sales positions. We don't really know how to sell. It's easy when you're selling creative, is, do you like this? Yes or no? And you like it, and then you're like, great, buy it. And it's however much, it's quality. You're paying for the quality, and that's how you would sell. Whereas it's just a total shift in, like, you're helping us establish a sales process that just didn't exist. And so that's pretty exciting.
And that right there, I think, that's one of the biggest areas where creatives, video production companies are indeed lacking, right? It's like you said, they go out there, and it's tragic to see how many people put their value and base their value based off of the hours they're working, or the equipment they're using, the number of people that are showing up, or a lot of the people we speak with are saying that their biggest differentiator in business is their personality. It's how much their clients actually just like them. And when I look at that, I'm like, well, where's the additional value to your clients though? What does the client get? Why should the client pay you a $10,000 premium over all these other video people? And if you're basing that premium off of your personality, that's not going to last very long.
No.
So,
or if the marketing director changes, you're screwed.
yeah, you're gone, right? The value isn't there. So, right. For you, when you look at, because our sales process and everything is called the earn the deal sales process. For anyone who's listening who doesn't know, what were your biggest takeaways learning that process and implementing it?
I mean, for me, it's just the repetition of that. That there is a process, that in the past, again, it was just a matter of going out and, I guess, more waiting for people to come to me, that we just didn't have anything in place as far as lead generation or what that needed to look like on a daily, weekly basis, just to make sure we were having enough conversations to even have the opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And so then from there, once I am speaking with someone, I really feel like now I'm disqualifying them, that whereas that's not a mindset that I had before. I was really I'm doing whatever I can to get this job, whereas now it's like, hey, is this really a good fit? Can I really help you?
Yeah.
And as we go through that process, and there have been a couple times where I'm like, no, I don't think this is going to work. And you just politely move on.
Yeah. So that is a big mindset shift, right? It takes a lot. And sometimes you mistake them. You're like, I'm disqualifying you, but then wait a second. No, now I've got to convince you. And it's that convincing versus diagnosing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those are the two differences I always share. It's you're either diagnosing whether you can actually help someone and improve their life through your videos and through your work, or you're just trying to convince them that you're the right person for the job.
Mm-hmm.
And the right thing to do is always diagnose, always actually figure out if you can help. Because if you can't do that, you're not the right person for the job, and there's no reason to try to convince anyone of anything.
Right.
That makes total sense. So what else has happened for you? I mean, you landed a big deal, right? You've also got some other deals going on.
Yeah, we just submitted. I mean, this is exciting. Again, proposal for another content. Actually, this is half content, half management, for a large agricultural thing. But we're here in the Midwest, and we're like, let's take advantage of that. Like, what's around us, and that's a $60,000 opportunity.
Yep.
That, again, numbers that I thought were just outside of what we could do. That we would be trying to gun for, like, how do we get the $50,000 marketing video, as opposed to this is a 12-month, hey, for $3,000 a month, we're going to do content. For $2,000 a month, we're going to manage that content plus the ad spend. So $5,000 a month. And that's when you put that in front of people, it's digestible, that you're like, oh, in terms of, and what I found really helpful is when you're explaining this in terms of hiring staff, as long as you're talking to the right people, that's a very affordable thing. And it's actually more affordable.
Break that down. Break that down, because a lot of people don't recognize this huge opportunity, right? They're like, who would ever pay $5,000 a month? Johnny, Paul, you're lunatics. Break it down.
Yeah. And again, think of, I mean, for those of you that if you are self-employed, however you pay yourself, and this I've learned, like we were taxed as an S corp. And so the business is paying taxes, and I get a regular paycheck. And so when I even look at that, and then the business itself has to pay portions of things. And so my point is that all the businesses you're talking to, if they have some sort of a marketing team, the cost of actually hiring someone to come in and do what you do, take the equipment cost, even on the low side, $15,000, to actually gear up and to do something that could be comparable to what you're doing when it comes to camera, lighting, and all those things. Then you got to hire somebody that actually knows what they're doing to create the content. That's, if you're lucky, 40 grand, for someone that would actually go in and work there full time. But they're probably, that's not top tier talent by any means, at least from my chair. Then on top of that, then you need somebody on the marketing side that can actually do something with that content. That's a whole nother salary, 40 grand. So now you're pushing 100 grand, and we haven't even got started yet. So you really do offer a lot of value when you say, hey, even if they don't have much of a marketing team, I found that if you talk to the right people, you say, hey, you could hire a marketing person, you're going to pay them 40, 50 grand, and they're going to turn around and they're going to want to outsource all these things anyway. And so what are you really paying for there if you're just now getting into the marketing side of your business? So it's a different approach for different kinds of businesses. But I found that's pretty effective when you start talking in terms of salary dollars. That, hey, when we start talking about, this is really, in relation to a full-time equivalent, this is a pretty attractive opportunity. And you get some head nods, like, that's okay, yeah.
This does make sense.
Because business owners understand hiring. If they've been in business for quite a while, they understand how expensive people are. So if they really do have this pain point of, hey, we're trying to get to where we want to go, all right, they've probably had that conversation. All right, do we bring this in-house? What do we do? What does that look like? And so if you're putting something, at least, the most recent deal, 60 grand is not, it's reasonable to the folks that we're talking to. They're like, because to them, they're like, well, we could hire someone, and it's easier to fire you guys if this doesn't work. I mean, he was very honest. He's like, this actually is kind of great, because we give the option, hey, after 3 months, you're able to get out, and it's easy. And obviously we're going to make sure that doesn't happen, but it's a win-win for the bit. They see it as great. All right, it's equivalent to salary dollars. I can get out. A lot easier to get out of your contract than mess with firing somebody.
Yeah, and have to deal with unemployment and all that good stuff. So. That's awesome. Yeah, that breakdown right there, I could see why it's working for you when you're going after the right businesses with that mindset and the right people with that mindset. And it is few and far between, right? Most people who've never been in business, they don't know that kind of thing. They don't know how expensive it is to hire. So learning that's really important, and learning those distinctions between hiring contractors, 1099s like ourselves who are experts at what we do, and then hiring a W-2 employee who has all these other benefits and extra work that goes along with it. And so that makes total sense. With this, I remember one of the key things I remember talking to you about at the live event was some personal life changes and making some big decisions around those areas. I'm curious, have those stuck? And if you're willing to share, would you want to talk about any of those other big things we looked at and started to tweak as we were working together there?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's, we had a conversation just about drinking, and that has definitely changed quite a bit, in that definitely I've been more focused on just paying attention to what I'm doing. Is probably the best way to put it. That it's not something that I need to do maybe as often as what I was doing. And so, and then just looking at just health in general, really paying attention to that. That's the part of just regularly exercising, and how much that's an important part of, as a business owner, you've got to start with yourself,
Always.
and I saw, I forget where I saw it, but just how your business is it's a reflection of you, and so you kind of got to start cleaning up shop. So start with you, and then it's funny how things start to work out from there.
Yeah. And when you get that clarity, right, because you walked away from the event when we were there, you came in, I would say almost in a confused and a little bit unfocused so many things jumping around in your mind on where you could go. And you walked away more focused, more clear. You had that clarity. You went, you executed. And I personally, I always think this, but the more clarity you get in your personal life on who you are, what you want to do, the more clarity you're going to find in your business as well. I'm just curious, is that what you think as well?
Yeah, no, it's definitely, yeah. I mean, because I would say there's definitely things are better in the personal life than they were in the beginning of the year. And so that I don't have to worry about some of the other things that a lot of the other stresses that were keeping me up January, February, when, there's a lot of other things going on personally, creating a lot of stress there. Cause legit trying to figure out, I'm going to pay for anything, I have a wife and 3 kids. And so that's just a lot. There's a lot to think about there. And so when you get to a place where, okay, things are better, I'm taking care of myself, those stresses are away. Now we've got a foundation in the business of what we're trying to do, what we need to do. Now we're just going to go grow. It's pretty exciting.
That's awesome. And so next, where do you see yourself in 12 months time? Where's the business going to be?
I want to be at 50K a month. I
There we
think
go.
that's for me. I mean, the whole, it's be $1 million agency. Like to me, but do it the right way, grow the right way, being able to add key staff. And again, what the last thing I want to do is add staff and put myself in the position I was in January, February, where, like we need to have a certain number of clients to where we feel like that's going to be, but having someone on staff that can help with creating content and eventually helping with, distribution, promotion, things like that, bringing an editor on full time would be a godsend for us. So yeah, man, that's where, I'm, like I said, we're in that consistent. We're at 10K now, with we still have some single projects out there. So we float around 20K a month, but 10 is consistent. And so I would love to be at 50K consistent.
We're going to get you there. I'm excited for it. And so,
I'm super excited.
Johnny, the last thing is there are other people here who might be watching this that are considering joining the Next Level Creators program. They've been in situations like yours. Maybe they're in a darker place, right? Maybe they're in tons of debt, right? Maybe there's a lot of bad things going on in their life. But what would you recommend to anyone who's considering Next Level Creators program? What would you say to them?
Do it. I mean, I know you may have some apprehensions about costs, but when you talk about, the cost of the program, and then you're able to, that's it's a worthwhile investment. And so that was probably the only thing that hung me up in trying to make the decision early on was, man, this seems like a lot of money. And that's where I just wasn't really sure. And it is worth the investment. The things that you will learn in just yourself and finding clarity, and then from there, how to build consistent, reliable income from your business. It's incredible.
I greatly appreciate it. I'm grateful to have you as a client. You're kicking ass right now. I'm really excited for where you're about to go, and I'm looking forward to helping you get there. So, Johnny,
Thanks,
thank you
man.
so much.
Yeah, thank you.